For the very first time, the Blancpain Sprint series heads to the Hungaroring. On this twisty track near Budapest, it's going to be hot and it's sure to be close. Last time out at the Nürburgring, Rob Bell got away so quickly in the McLaren, there were suggestions he jumped the start. The steward said no. In hot pursuit, the number 28 Audi, a former GP racer Will Stevens, and Audi factory hot shoe Rennie Rast. The McLaren was away, others went wide. But fortunately, didn't contact each other, but it was jolly close. Meanwhile, rushing up through the field, Bert Schneider in the Mercedes-Benz. They started in 24th. Another car to watch for was the 333 Ferrari. There it is, the Rinaldi car of Norbert Siedler and Marco Seefried. Great action between the two Audis, but look at that, while they squabble, the Ferrari sneaks by, up into a magnificent 5th place. One car goes wide, a vital pit stop, the 28 car in 2nd place. Can it sneak out in front of the McLaren? Now with Parent at the wheel, but no it doesn't. Meanwhile, the 19 Lamborghini of Beretta and Stoltz leads the Silver Cup. The 333 Ferrari was still in 5th place. Closing stages of the race now, and still the Audi hunting down the leading McLaren. The checkered flag, the McLaren wins. Bell and Parenti lead the series. They win the race by just 2 seconds. So we head to the Hungaroring race. A great promotion, the cars heading on the public roads for a major Meet the Public event. And the crowds turned out in their thousands to get up close and personal with the drivers and look at the cars. After this terrific promotion, some of the fans will have their special favourites for the racing. Top German squad, Phoenix Racing, is down to just one Audi R8 LMS this weekend after an incident eliminated the number 6 car in practice. So holding the fort in the number 5 car would be the Belgian Alessio Piccirillo, a 22-year-old hot shoe from the Formula Masters series, who joins Nicky Moller-Madsen, who is happy with his new co-driver.
Yeah, we have to win the Silver Cup, that's for sure. I got a new teammate this weekend and I'm really looking forward to race with him. I know him from the past in karting and I know he's a good driver and I know we can win the Silver Cup, so that's for sure the goal. He's a little bit better in the, hopefully with the new tyres to do the quali. And yeah, I will do the start on Sunday, a bit more experience in the rolling starts, and yeah, together I think we'll be a good mix.
The Hungaroring track has a long history as a Formula 1 circuit, but a winter resurfacing has changed its character. Bentley, like Audi, tested here, and that has helped the British cars find speed. In the number 7 car is Stephen Kane and Vincent Abril. And in the number 8 Continental GT, Maxime Soulet and Andy Soucek. We caught up with Andy about his thoughts of Spa and the upcoming race.
Spa is over now. Obviously it was tough not to win that one. We were leading for most part of the race, but Budapest is a completely different track. It's a different championship. We are now in the sprint series and short races, 1-hour races. I've got Maxime as a teammate. We know he's very quick as well, so hopefully we can have a good result and get some points for the championship.
Lamborghini has certainly done an outstanding job developing the Huracan into an effective GT3 machine. The GRT Grasser team from Austria are running 2 of the unmissable lime green supercars. The 19 car leads the Silver Cup. The 16 car has a new driver this weekend in Marco Mappelli, but Stefan Racina continues in the car.
Yeah, sure, I mean I am confident, but I think all the other drivers have also plenty of experience, so we did test here. So let's see. I mean, it's difficult to say. I don't really want to be saying up front that I brought something really special and we're going to win, you know. This is obviously the goal, but this has been the goal since the whole season, and so far we are not able really to put it to the result, so we hope that here is going to be better.
The driver lineup has also changed at reigning endurance champions Nissan, while Ricardo Sanchez from Mexico and UK Sean Walkinshaw pedal the number 22. Alex Buncombe will be joined in the number 23 by the first ever GT Academy winner, Lucas Ordóñez. Lucas doesn't know this track well. Maybe he's tried it on a PlayStation.
Feeling excited about a new track for us here in Hungaroring. For Alex and me, it's a brand new track, so excited to be here. It's not the best track for the GT-R for sure. We like high-speed corners, we like high-speed tracks. Hungaroring is pretty slow. but we will see what we can do. We will try our best, and yeah, we're working hard to have a good car for the weekend.
The Garage 59 McLaren team are desperate to bounce back from the disappointment of the Spa 24s. The regular driver pairings of Martin Ploman and Tom Ledegar and Alvaro Parenti and Rob Bell. They defend the team's lead in the Blancpain GT Teams title race. Meanwhile, Bell heads the GT drivers table and with Alvaro leads the sprint standings. The pair, of course, dominated the last sprint race at the Nürburgring. Rob Bell says they're just taking it race by race.
I think it's just another stepping stone, to be honest. We're here to win the race, and then we'll try and win the other remaining races as well. So we haven't got the mindset of, oh, let's just play it safe and make sure we keep the lead. We're just here to win races, and it's great to be at another fantastic venue. The weather looks fantastic, so we'll just do our best for Garage 59 and McLaren, and hopefully we'll come out on top.
The French-run Mercedes team with Jerome Polican runs 3 cars this weekend. 2 of them, the 87 and 89, are in the Pro-Am class, with a lineup which includes the veteran French Jean-Philippe Belloc, hero at this year's Le Mans. But success here in Hungary will most likely come from the 88 car of 2 drivers who have tasted success on the oval tracks of America. They are Christian Vautier of France and the Swede Felix Rosenqvist.
First of all, I love this city. I've been here quite a lot of times with Formula 3, and I had some testing here in recent years. So yeah, it's a track I'm familiar with, and yeah, having that result from Spa, I think we have to look forward for this weekend. And yeah, we have a great momentum right now, and yeah, let's see where we are.
The Row Racing team are still on a high after winning the Spa 24 hours. However, the 99 Spa winning car has been retired to the BMW Museum, so there's a brand new machine for Alexander Sims and his Spa winning co-driver Philip Eng. Philip knows his way around this track from Porsche's Super Cup campaigns, but still has plenty on his mind.
The second sector is really nice with all these floating corners. It will be 3rd gear, so not slow but not very fast. And it's really important to position the car well all the time there. So it's very technical, but really cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Coming up, the qualifying race. Hello everyone, I'm Andrew Marriott, alongside me John Watson, and it has been a blisteringly hot day here. They're the fans in the grandstand. They've enjoyed the sunshine. I'm not sure it's going to be quite the same, John, for the teams.
No, it's not. It's going to be a very difficult 1 hour here at the Hungaroring, but they are the championship positions.
And as you heard in the earlier piece, Rob Bell leads, and then it's Maximilian Bucht and Dominic Baumann in that Mercedes second, Sule and Suchek, I should say, in 3rd place in the Bentley. Eng and Sims follow them. Pole position, of course, Christian Vautier and Felix Rosenqvist, and they will start on the pole in the Mercedes alongside Enzo Eden, Christopher Mies in the WRT car, more WRT cars on the second row, and more Mercedes, Baumann and Bucht and Van Thor and Vervish. Then it's Haas and Parisi again, more Audis, and then the next of the Mercedes-Benz, Salaquada and Stippler and Robin Frins and the younger of the Van Thors, and then the first of the non-German cars. Well, it's got a German engine, Bortolotti and the Lamborghini. More Audis, look, that row. Stockinger will start that car. Then the first of the Bentleys in 13th place, and the first of the BMWs, Katzberg in that one. Belloc and Bure and Meadows and Leonard. Next row, Mapelli, he's a new boy in this championship. Rosina, Jimenez and Baptista. Buncombe and Ordonez in the Nissan, which has probably got some brake problems. So we think Parenti and Bell, the championship leaders, right down there in 21st place. And then Eng and Sims, Stephen and Rast, they're a long way down, John. I wonder if they can stage a bit of a fight through. Schmidt and Jafar, the car we've just seen in the pit lane there, was going to start in 25. It will now start at the back. Ledegar and Plowman in the second of the 2 McLarens, way down there, 28th, and then going towards the back of the grid, Retzer and Stott, the 2 Dutchmen in their Lamborghini, start 31st. Peril, then the American entrepreneur, Steve Earle, and Walkinshaw in the second of the Nissan. So that quickly as the 34 cars will start in the heat of the late afternoon here, and the pace car is already in, and they'll be blasting into that first corner. Slowly, waiting. The Mercedes just got a bit of a no start, I think there, and off they go. And down and on the throttle pedal to the metal, down to that first corner. Already we've got a Ferrari diving through on the inside of the pit lane, right against the pit wall, but no. It's Vautier in the lead. Man has been racing in the States, IndyCar events, racing for Man. Oh, and a spinner, look at that! Straight into our sun, and there's quite a few cars off in that incident, John.
Yeah, it's the centre lock of Monty and Edward Sandstrom. That got tagged by the Lamborghini there. Further back, you can see one of the Ferraris and further contact as they 101. The attempt to Lamborghini, that was the Zampieri and Niederhauser car. So already contact in turn one and the exit of turn one.
But McLaren, I think, just going off wide there. So lots of actions we suspected and lots of smoke coming from the back of one car. I suspect that's from a tyre problem.
Yeah, I think that's the Ferrari. Some had got tagged somewhere in that incident in turn one. So everybody's gotten through the first three turns, but there is a 25 Audi. That now is beached, and it's race already over.
That's Monty, Roman Monty.
But one of the Audis just cutting across the inside of turn 5. That's something that everybody has got to be aware of. Track limits are being very strictly adhered to here this weekend, so any infringement will get a notice to the team. If you do it 3 times, you will get a drive-through penalty. But what is clear is that 88 Mercedes-Benz and Christian Vautier didn't jump the stop. It had a very good start and was able to consolidate by almost a second from Christopher Mies in the Audi in second place, Dominic Baum in third, Lawrence Van Voort fourth, and Christopher Haase in fifth, and then the sixth place Mercedes of Jules Kvyat. Full course yellow.
Full course yellow, yeah, FCY, and that's presumably to remove a car. Let's see the start again.
So the Mercedes is up and gone, and then it's the battle of about 3 Audis all trying to get down the inside into turn 1, 4 abreast as they come down pit straight. The Ferrari getting a real flyer. And then everybody fanning into the inside of the circuit behind the lead Mercedes-Benz, coming down, then going from right back to left to, again, 3 abreast, the Mercedes, the 84 Mercedes, right sort of the meat in the sandwich. But there you can see the 25 Audi. And where does that center lock go? Well, that happens much earlier. One of the Ferraris as well. That was at the back of the grid, the 101 Lamborghini. That was the Zampieri and Niederhauser car. That was much further back. But there the 25 Audi gets spun round. And the contact with that car has meant the full course yellow has been implemented.
10 seconds. Okay. Restart on short notice.
That's our race director.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag, green flag.
Green flag.
Look at the gap. Look at the gap. And now whether that is something that will be looked at as well, because the lead car had about a 2.5 or 3 second advantage over the second place of Christopher Mies. Mies was asleep.
I think he was asleep, to be honest. But anyway, he'll make up for that, I'm sure. But Felix Rosenqvist, little Felix, the reigning Formula 3 champion, loving his switch into sports cars here in the Mercedes team run by Jerome Policant.
And in the process, Lawrence Van Voort has got ahead of the 84 Mercedes, so he's up to third place again. That's being astute. Once the race director says we are racing, go, you've got to be on your toes, and that's what Lawrence Van Voort has done. He's put himself up into third place, having a look at Christopher Mies coming down into turn 2 to try and slot it up into second place. He had to back out of it, otherwise that would have been a collision. Contact. The 2 Audis.
Another Audi going off there.
Yeah, one of them, I'm not sure which one that was, but I think it might have been one of the ISR cars. Tagged the back, and now everybody's gone across the inside of the curve for whatever reason they're choosing to do that. So again, contact, unnecessary contact, I have to say, down at turn 5. But that is again a function or a feature of this Hungaroring circuit. It is very tight, and everybody's going to be closely bunched together. Out of turn 11 now, there's a short straight run down into a heavy braking into turn 12. You can pass if you're alongside, but it's getting alongside that's the tricky bit.
You see scrolling down on the left-hand side of your screen, the top 20 there. Rosenqvist leading from Mies and Van Voort. Mercedes, Audi, Audi, Mercedes. And then Mercedes, Audi, Audi. Now this happened a lap ago. Look at the Bentley trying to get down the inside there. Does he make it stick? Yes, he does. Nice move by the 8 car, bouncing it off the curb, and it worked.
Yeah, so the Audi had to do what the Audi had to do, and in fact it almost, I think, lost the place to the BMW that was following. So Andy Soucek, that was a hard move he put on the Audi, but he got track position.
Oh, look at that. I mean, that's just the row racing BMW right in the middle, the Ferrari right behind it.
That's Robin Freins. He started well back, and unusually again, Robin Freins is somebody who you expect to see up at the front, so he made a good pass down into turn 1, and that's a difficult place to make it stick to the 99. Philippe Eng BMW. So Robin Friends just trying to do the thing that everybody's been doing, that's play catch-up.
That Eng car is the new one, of course, that's replaced the one that's gone into the museum, which won the Spa 24-hour. Terrific result for BMW.
He goes defensive down the inside to prevent the Ferrari, the 111 Ferrari, from trying to get through the Kessel racing car of Steve Earle and David Powell, and that's a strong race from a car that is an AM car against a pro car. And look, he's actually made the pass stick, but runs slightly deep into turn 2 and allows the BMW the chance to give it a hip and shoulder as they come through the exit of turn 2, takes the position back. Good racing from both drivers. I mean, there may have been very little but gap between the two cars, but they didn't have contact, and therefore. But the Ferrari had good speed in the straight to be able to put itself into that position. Well, there's a problem for that 87 car. We don't know what that might be, but clearly it's more than they can attend to on the pit lane. As we watch the lead Mercedes, just see how much, well, he does, in fact, he's very controlled.
And he's on a very quick lap again, John. I think the fastest lap of the race, I think.
Lawrence Van Voor is in, and look how wide he runs coming into the pit lane. Now that's interesting that Audi have chosen to make one of their cars at the earliest opportunity. And we see, was it the 74 Audi as well, the ISR, second of that car, their 75 car, of course, got tagged in that contract, so that's Marlon Stockinger and Frank Pereira will be getting into that. Nissan likewise, so a lot of teams taking the opportunity for that early pit stop. Number one, now watch and see how quick this pit stop, because this potentially could allow that number 1 Audi to leapfrog the 33 Audi, maybe even the number 88 Mercedes.
It's going to be a very crowded pit road indeed here. Pit stop's taking about 22, 23 seconds, John, something like that.
It's a little longer than that, but just the driver change should be quicker than the wheel change.
Yeah.
So you've got 4 wheels, but it's only 2 engineers per car at any time, so only 2 people are allowed to work on it. So they do the left-hand side first of all, then run around and do the right-hand side first, then the left-hand side, and within that period, it should be possible for a driver to make it. Now, a lot of the cars are left-hand drive, so when they do the driver change, they want to make sure the driver change is complete before the engineers get round to the left-hand side. And look at the scrum coming out of the pit lane. And the Audi Bendy did a good job. I think Bendy would have made up ground as they come down the pit lane. We have to wait and see until this all plays through as to see where the number 1 Audi will be. The lead car, the second place car, yet to make their pit stop, and yet another fast lap on the last lap from the race leader.
Our race, wheel nut to wheel nut. Look at this, John. Oh,
well, a big lock-up. I thought maybe at one point there was bodywork. I think there might be bodywork rubbing on that 74 Audi, because it did it as it came through the exit of turn 2 as well. So that wouldn't be a wheel lock-up. That should, I think, see coming into turn 4. It is snagging. It's a bodywork snagging somehow. There must be a little bit of contact somewhere in that 74 Audi around the front splitter spoiler, and that's causing the tyre to rub against it.
Could that puncture the tyre, or is it not an issue really?
It depends just how much the rub is. If it's only very light, which is what I suspect it is, it'll effectively self-cure. But nonetheless, you never want to see it, because it means something's rubbing against the tyre. You can see that the fact that the front of the car has been slightly rearranged, and that's why it's rubbing. But inevitably, the further you go, the less it's going to rub.
And actually, it's a titanic battle between those two, 74 and the 3 there.
There's Frank Pereira behind the wheel of the 74. And I mean, look at these other Audis all over him, down, up the inside into turn 12, and in fact, Frank Pereira gets completely
swamped. He was.
Yeah, he just got sort of overpowered. Now, whether he's going to come into the pits, I don't know. Felix Rosenqvist, who's led from the lights going out up until the completion of lap 16, he's in the pit lane.
Christian Faultier will take that car. Young man that made most of his racing career in America, although he's from France. Done some IndyCar races and also raced for the Mazda long distance team over the States, and now really settled in, and a very good partnership with Felix Rosenqvist. We'll see little Felix jump out, the reigning European Formula 3 champion, Macau Grand Prix winner, and that's how they practice that, I can tell you that.
Yes, and one of the advantages that these two drivers in particular, is that they are, let's say, of the shorter variety. They're about 5'6", 5'7". They're not some of these very tall like Steph Dusseldorf, who's over 6 feet.
Frank Stippler, how tall is he? He must be about 6'4".
Frank Stippler is one of the taller drivers, so the shorter drivers have got an advantage. There is the number 1 car, and we have to wait and see, is this Mercedes-Benz, which has led from the lights going out, will it regain? There's the car that's going to challenge it, the number 1, and that's now got Watch and see. It's going to be really, really close.
Well, it's out in the 33 we're watching, isn't it? The Meeks car.
Frederick Vervisch comes down the pit lane, but the Mercedes has got it. But the gap is now going to be between the number 1 Audi in second place chasing. Because we have yet to see Christopher Mies make his pit stop.
Yeah, but the key now is going to be the pit stop of the 33.
The 33 has a chance, I believe, to take the lead of this race. And of course, he's got to come in probably on this lap because we're coming close to the closing of the pit stop window. So will he come in now? It's going to be a 1 minute. He is coming in.
Yeah, he is.
He had to because he couldn't have done it in the time available. So at the last minute, Christopher Mies has driven the 33 Audi, and this is the pit stop that will either win or lose, I think, this race for that 33 Audi of Christopher Mies. And we're there to see.
I'm going to try and get a stopwatch on it, John.
But the thing is, it's Enzo Eid who's taking over. And with respect, Enzo Eid, a fine amateur driver. But what Christopher Mies has been doing in recent races, outstanding. He's been well supported by Enzo Eid, but again, Enzo's been put under the spotlight. He needs to put in stunning laps. The pit stop will see it done. But look, there's the lead Mercedes. That number 33 is just caught. They've got the wheels changed, the jack's down, the car's rolling. Come on, Enzo, get it out.
20 seconds, that pit stop.
But it's the in and the out, the total time.
Yeah,
so there's the Mercedes. The Audi is already rolling down the pit lane. This is going to be close. I think Enzo Eid has got a chance to get ahead or side by side as they come out. There's the Audi. They can't see the Mercedes yet. There's it coming now. So it's now there's your race leader. There's your race leader, 33 Audi. But remember,
he's not up to speed though, is he?
No, but Vautier is up to speed. He's had that one lap out to get up to speed to get a feel. So for Enzo Eid, it's all new territory, and he's going to be under pressure. The Mercedes, you can see just how quickly he's running down the Audi, simply because he's got that extra lap of experience of the track behind him. So the 86 is into the pit lane with plenty of time to go. We wait to see where is the 63, the Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti, because he's got 33 seconds to get into the pit lane, otherwise it's a penalty. So it'll be Bernd Schneider taking over the number 86 car, and as Bertolotti, he will bring that 63 Lamborghini in, and he'll be handing that car, it'll be over to Nicholas Poler. Here we're going to see the lead car come across the line, and we will get it in timing and scoring, and we'll be watching to see what the gap is between the 33 Audi comes across the line, the 88 Mercedes 8/10 of a second, and Frederick Vervisch a further 4/10 behind the Mercedes.
Yeah, so that's really concertinated it up now. So terrific battle as this race heads towards the checkered flag, John, and we're almost 2/3 of the way through, and well, it's anybody's to play for that top three.
Now, there's the battle for second place, and Frederick Vervisch right now, and he's thinking, I fancy a bit of that second place into turn 12, and that was a bit lumpy for Enzo Eid.
Really smacked it over the curbs there.
Yeah, coming out was into turn 5, and he was a bit just clumsy. So let's have a look and see. So he comes, this is through, and I think he was just too far over to the left coming into turn 5. Yeah, a little battle going on for 17th place. Rob Bell and Steph Dusseldorp. And the BMW probably has got more straight line speed. We know that McLaren has been going through that whole scenario. Aggressive move coming through turn 6. That was Steph Dusseldorp motoring the curbs, trying to find some way of getting past the McLaren, and he's going to have to be a little bit patient. If he wants to force the issue around this part of the track, it's not ideal. Every corner, the lefts, the rights, they blend 7, 8, 9, 10, then ultimately the quickest of all those corners, turn 11. The lights flashing. And look at this, defense. Now that's going to come under the investigation. Rob Bell, that was a naughty move, and that may well get the attention of the race stewards. He did it once, he did it one way, and that's the saving point. But Steph Dusseldorp didn't concede, he put himself into that danger zone.
And he did a fantastic job of collecting it up, didn't he? Because the car was very sideways, we can see it now.
Yeah, I mean, look at Rob Bell's coming more. I mean, and in fact, he had the corner, but he couldn't slow it down.
But he made the pass, as it happens.
He made the pass, and then the McLaren makes the undercut.
Yeah.
So I think Steph Dusseldorp will be unhappy about that manoeuvre. Rob Bell, in fairness, once he found himself being monstered by the BMW, he got out of the way. But it obviously, Dusseldorp couldn't get it stopped. He'd got a lot of muck and dirt on his right front tire. But look, the BMW, I can see entertainment in shed loads with these two battling, and they're battling all the way down. This is for 17th place.
Drive-through penalty for car 111.
That's Steve Earle and David Pearl. That's the AM Ferrari. You wouldn't have thought that 2 amps would be done for track limits, but there we are. As we look, here's the lead. Look what's going on in the Mercedes all over the back. Can he move down the inside?
Oh, switches sides and
it's a bit of bodywork flicked up there, and Aid runs wide. The Mercedes can get up the inside.
It's going to do it. No.
Oh dear, that was aggressive.
As he looks down the inside again, and a bit of puff and smoke from the front wheel as he really gets harder into the ABS system there. This Blancpain GT series just producing such stunning racing. GT3 machinery at its very best in a lot of speed. What's happened there? The two car has stopped. And that's the Stuart Leonard. Well, a spin there for Leonard, and I just gave him a shout up. Leonard and Meadows and Stuart Leonard, the amateur driver in there, spins it. Don't think he's lost too much time. Longer shadows here. You can see them in the cockpit of the car as we ride aboard the car in 4th place here. And hear the whine of the transmission, the roar of that German engine up front, and the seconds quick down, and we're on 40 seconds now, and I think this will then be the last lap. And still, Vautier's there, but he's not quite close enough, is he? And the grain pounds it through the ABS system. And another Audi Mercedes-Benz right behind. It could 3rd place change right at the last minute. Vervesh under a huge pressure. And look at this, and Vervesh just hangs on. We go on board to see it. He's looking to get down the inside. There's Maxi Bucht. And he doesn't quite make it. And now the checkered flag must be waiting. The checkered flag is out. And here he comes round the final corner and heading towards a famous victory. And the checkered flag, is it waiting there? And yes, it falls, and Enzo Eid wins there for Audi. Terrific race. So Enzo Eid in the 33 car. Outstanding job from Enzo Eid, and Christopher Mies, of course, laid the foundations for that victory. And Christopher takes some congratulations. And look at this battle to the line. So number 1 Audi is 3rd, Mercedes 84, then Mercedes 86, and then Audi 26 and 7 have crossed the finish line. And still there's a few little battles going on down the field, and Rennie Rast got it all the way up to 10th place. Well done to him. But I think we can get down to the 2 winners of this race, so let's find out how excited they are.
Enzo, I got to come to you first. I thought a brand sat you at a race of your life, but this has to be your greatest win, just outstanding.
Really nice. The pit stop boys did a great job. Christopher was in P2 before the pit window. So I came out in front in P1, and I managed to stay there. I had the Merc a few laps quite close to me, put a lot of pressure, but...
And yeah, you put a really hard move on the 88 Mercedes coming into turn 1.
Yeah, really, I cannot describe it. It was a tough stint for me.
Anyway, well done. Christopher, you started the car, you chased the 88 Mercedes, great pit stop by your team, got you into the lead. But I mean, Enzo, I'm almost lost for words.
It's unbelievable. I mean, we have 3 wins, we're leading the championship. If someone would have told us that before, we would have said he's crazy. Enzo did a fantastic job keeping the lead. The boys did an awesome job. You know, the car 33 car crew is just amazing. Quickest pit stop once again, and yeah, now we are back in the championship lead. And thanks to WT and thanks to Enzo, great day for us.
Well, I saw him out in the town last night. I suspect you'll both be out. Well, maybe not tonight, but tomorrow night.
Probably we have a good night tomorrow.
Let's check the classification, and after the 33 laps, Eid and Mies, as we heard, winning from Vautier and Rosenquist, Vervish and Van Thor in 3rd place, then the Mercedes, Bucht and Baumann in 5th place, Schneider and Simowiak, and then Parisi and Christian Haase did a good job, Stipple and Salaquada in 7th place, then the best of the non-German cars, Pula and Bertolotti in the Lambo, Moller, Madsen and Picarillo, new driver in the scene, 9th, Rast and Stevens up to 10th, tremendous drive, Van Thor and Fringe, 11th, and Leonard and Meadows, despite that spin, in 12th place. But here they are, the winners on the top of the podium, and Enzo Eid deserves to smile. Great job from him. Well, that was yesterday in the later part of the afternoon, but today we're in the height of the heat, and it really is hot here. I'm not sure the exact temperature. It's 30 odd, and cars down on the grid, and we're looking forward to the main race, and it should be another great battle between Audi and Mercedes-Benz. There you see the temperature, 34.2 the track temperature, the temperature outside as the heat shimmers off the track, 32.6. That's going to make it tough for the drivers. It's going to make it also very tough for the tyres. So, excellent race. Got to give it to Enzo Ede, the young Belgian. Did a great job as an amateur driver, started his career in the Bell Car Series and has certainly worked his way up through FIA GTs, and here he is in the Blancpain as a winner again, as he was in Brands Hatch, and absolutely hats off to him. So, we're getting ready for this. We've lost one car since yesterday, and that was the Attempto Lamborghini. We actually saw it going into the pits, the Patrick Niederhausen, Daniel Zampieri car, and that has an engine problem. But we can go down to John Watson, and I believe he was with Vincent Abril. Oh, we're not quite ready for that at the moment, but I'm sure it will be coming up very soon indeed. Yeah, pulling into the grid, and we'll just get that queued up. But it's so busy down in the grid there, sometimes you're just about to do an interview and then some team member comes in and starts to have an important conversation about race strategy, and you get zapped out of it. So I'm sure we'll be down there with it in just a moment. And of course, that race from yesterday, that sets the grid for today. So the Audi will be in the pole. Great drive from Rosenqvist, and of course that race, as you saw, was really won by a fantastic pit stop for the team, which was so well known for it, the Belgian outfit WRT. I was talking to their Thierry Tassin at lunchtime, or this morning. It's not even lunchtime yet, earlier in the day. Tells me they've got over 50 people here. So now we can go down to the pits, and we can go down to meet two of Mercedes' fastest drivers.
Jules, you're on the third row of the grid in the Mercedes-Benz, and we've got Dominic Barman in the sister car just one row ahead of you. Is this going to be crash fest Mercedes-Benz, or are you all going to be in control?
We're going to be in control. We are all a team. Just want all to finish as high as possible, so we're not going to have any collision, anything like that.
Now, all you guys say that before you get in the car, then suddenly the red mist comes down.
I don't know, we'll see.
Dominic, you've heard what he said. He's going to give you a clean run into turn one. All you got to do is get ahead of the red Mercedes and the black Audi.
Yeah, that's more important. In the team, we are quite easy. But here it's quite difficult to overtake, so we try to give our best, and we will see what Maxi will do on the start.
Have you given Max any sort of instructions, any guidance, or just said, just get the car in the lead and give it to me in the lead?
Yeah, that's the bad thing. No, it's not easy here. Yesterday the start was a bit early, so we could not push there, and then the fuel was yellow, we lost the position, but he will do it.
Okay, we'll watch with interest. Any thanks?
Well, pretty confident down there, the two rival Mercedes-Benz drivers. There the Hungarian flag flies, and interestingly, and there's our leader Stefan Rattel, as the Hungarian national anthem rings out. CEO of SRO Group, very much the architect of this and other successful racing series. Done a fantastic job back from the days when he first started with the Venturi series. Lots of Hungarian flags flying, but sadly no Hungarian drivers in this race. Hungary hasn't got a top racing driver at the moment, really. They sit down after the national anthem. Interestingly, Audi has a very big plant in Hungary, so it's a big country for Audi. So we're still getting ready. There's Enzo Ede. Such a great job yesterday. His father recently sold his business for a large amount of money, but continues to run it, and Enzo assists with that. They basically make the sides of buildings and metal, a big business in the metal industry. I love the crash helmet with the Enzo on the side of it, and as I said, Enzo Ede coming up through the ranks of Bell Car originally, and then into GT racing. Never done any single-seater racing. He's one of the heavier drivers at about 100 kilos. More crash helmets going on, this time from the Rosenquist Vautier. I think that's Vautier there, the French driver. He will start, and in this race, Felix will take the second stint. Remember, a window for the pit stops between 25 and 35 minutes. There's Bucht and Baumann in their Mercedes, one of the three HT that's booked in the car, and well, a nice shot into his helmet, his blue and white crash helmet. The flags fly on the grid. Can't miss those Lamborghinis. The Grasser team run that lime green colour, but that is the sort of official colour of the Lamborghinis. And here Van Thor, but Vavish is in the car. He will start it, and what a great job WRT do. And running more cars than anybody else here. They do it with such professionalism. They're so good at the pit stops. We saw yesterday that really won the race for Enzo Eden. The maybe underrated Christopher Mies. And here's Parisi, Mike Parisi, the Frenchman. Christopher Haase, saw him walking in this morning. He overtook me as we walked up the hill, shows how fit he is. And the Santilloc racing team from France. And Mike Parisi is effectively an amateur driver. Bernd Schneider will start now, the veteran, more wins in the DTM than anybody else, multi-champion in that series. We thought once he stopped doing the DTM, he would retire, but there he is. Look at now wearing glasses, Bernd Schneider, with a Formula One career behind him as well, in teams like Zakspeed, and then these Dutch co-driver will take over. There, look at the 87 car. Bobalik will start this car. I think it's in the Silver Cup and run by the AKK ASP team, which is run by the former Le Mans racer and sports car racer Jerome Policand. And let's segue our way down the grid. Gives us the most marvellous view right down the middle here. And we'll see the 33 cars it is, I think, that will start today because of the problem, the Attempto racing. We saw it pushed back into the garage mid-race yesterday. Apparently it had an engine problem, cannot be changed or rectified in time for today's race at, well, just after high noon really. There's a Santilloc car on the left, and we'll be looking out too for Rennie Rast and Will Stevens, who were second at the previous round in the Nürburgring, and they had a fantastic drive yesterday, up from 23rd to 10th. There the Bentleys disappointed a bit. In fact, for British fans, the Bentleys and the McLarens both not really in the hunt. And remember, of course, Bell and Parent having a fantastic run to victory, as you saw right at the top of the show at the Nürburgring. And then one behind the other two Roa Racing BMWs, and actually I'm told you pronounce it Rover, and it's an oil company who sponsor that team. As we're going back then all the way into the 30s here, and just see that McLaren right near the back, and that's a big disappointment. We get some of the Silver Cup cars here, and the Pro-Ams and the AMs. I think AMs are all in Ferraris, teams like Kessel Racing, and right at the back, the 25 car of Romain Monti. That didn't finish yesterday, that car. And then a nice look at the V10 engine. Here's a championship in the GT overall series. Rob Bell still leads that from Dominic Baumann at Maxi Bucht. Maxime Soulet and Andy Soucek third. Christopher Mies, then Van Thor, Philip Eng, Alexander Sims. Lots of points, of course, from the high point paying race, Spa 24 Hours, which he won. And then Frederick Vavish. And then the two McLaren drivers, Colm Ledegaard and Shane Van Gisbergen, not here this weekend. I think there's an Aussie V8 race this weekend, and Shane, I'm sure where he finished in that race, he would have been competing there. So, lineup of international stars, great GT3 machinery, such a popular and successful racing series, and they're getting ready to go. And this sprint race is all real wham bam, thank you ma'am type racing here. There's no chance or any real strategy. It's just absolutely flat out all the way as they go off on the formation lap behind the Audi R8 pace car people take their seats in the grandstands. Already enjoyed a support race, which was pretty close, but now it's what they've really come to see. And just looking there, just saw, I think, Thierry Tassin at the front. Vincent Vos in the cap, always wears that cap from the Belgian WRT team. We've also got an entry from Phoenix Racing, who really are famous for running DTM cars for Mercedes-Benz. For Audi, I'll correct myself there. But also used to run the main effort at the Nürburgring 24-hour race. One of the big races for GT3 cars, not actually in this championship, but a lot of these people do compete in that race. So, tyres management will be an issue here as everyone heads round to the start under a pace car. Let's check out the starting grid then, and based on yesterday's race, Ede will start alongside Vautier, Vervish and Buch. Buch will start the 84 Mercedes. Schneider will start the 86 and Parisi the 26. Christopher Haas will back him up after it. Frank Stippler will start the 75 in the Czech run team. 9th, Moller Madsen and Pecorillo, who did a great job yesterday in the Silver Cup. Van Thor, it's Leonard and Meadows. They had a little spin, but a great run to 12th place. Rossino and his new co-driver Mappelli in the Huracan, and going through Baptista and Jimenez, Soule and Souchet. What can the Bentley do? Can it improve on that? And what about Bell and Parent overall leading the championship? Can they come up from that position? Ordóñez and Buncombe, last year's overall endurance champions. Mullen, Van Splitteren, the two Dutchmen together, and then Jafar, Sanchez and Walkinshaw down in 23rd place. Branuski, then we got Pereira, expect that car to improve. Stoltz and Beretta. And John Watson has joined me, a dash up. And John, a lot of people here, you had to push through a lot of people on that bridge to get here. He's breathing a bit deeply as well.
You got it, Andrew. The bridge was just heaving. I couldn't get through the fans. You have to push them out of the way. But the cars are just halfway around the lap, so thank goodness. Here I am in the booth, and I have to say, although it's very hot outside, it is cooler than it was when we had the sprint race on Saturday evening. Yep. So that's one salvation for everybody in these enclosed GT cars.
We're sitting here in air-conditioned splendour, and John somehow has also managed to cut his hand. So I'm not sure how he's done that. Has been pushing somebody out of the way, and. You think it's cooler now than it was?
I think that the temperature has dropped, but watch the cars coming around to take the start.
This is the start as the pace car peels off. Let's see if we have a repeat of yesterday. Will it be the Audi? Will it be the Mercedes? Down into the first corner. Off they charge, flat on the throttle. And the Mercedes seems to get a pretty good run, but they're side by side. And no, indeed, it's the Audi. And look at that other Audi coming through on the inside. And they're almost rubbing each other. But now we've got a turn, and the Audis are muscling their way through. And I think Vautier's just got the turn in, and he makes it into the first turn. And the Audi are side by side, but now there's three in a row. Look at this. Unbelievable racing, John.
Yes, the Mercedes went down the inside, just braked too late, over around the corner, now having to come back aggressively, and he's going to touch the number one Audi. So that's the Freddy Vervies car, was the car that got ahead of Enzo Ede. When you got the 84 Mercedes with the mixed million Buch, he's in that mix somewhere. There he is, way out. He's almost halfway back to Budapest. And I spoke on the grid to these guys. I said, "You're going to be a Mercedes-Benz crash fest." No, but it's the 84 Mercedes that's now got the lead. And you can see the shuffling that went on in turns 1, 2 and 3 before it began to marginally come down. A BMW, where's it going? It's trying to get to turn 5 the shortcut way.
Well, what about Enzo Ede? I mean, we don't count him as a professional driver, but he's doing a terrific job. But meanwhile, that Mercedes sneaks its way into the lead, John. And, well, Maxi certainly took advantage of all that bumping and boring that went on into the first corner.
Yeah, you're seeing the 28 car, Rennie Ras, Will Stevens. It's also trying to make ground up. They actually got a penalty yesterday, but that penalty was then rescinded. But a great drive from 28th up to 10th place for Rennie Rast and Will Stevens. So opening lap, everything a bit manic, everybody jockeying for position. Of course, everybody's on the freshest sets of tyres. The remaining, look, the Attempto Lamborghini slides down the inside of the Grasso Racing Lamborghini. That was a bit of a schoolboy error because he wasn't watching his mirrors and protecting. So the Attempto car gets ahead of the Grasso Racing car. In the meantime, it's the Mercedes with that little, I might call it marginally comfortable lead of just a second and maybe a half as they will come across start-finish line. Fourth one, 9/10 of a second over Enzo Weed. Vervish is third, the 88, Trulia is fourth, Bernd Schneider fifth, and Frank Stipper, good old Frank Stipper in sixth place.
And what about the 58? McLaren has come up to 10th place. That was a great start. We didn't really see that. Must have made a phenomenal start. So the 58 car leads the overall championship. Trying to get some points here.
You can just see how aggressive people are having to defend. That's the number 3 Audi, that's the Jimenez and Baptista car. Again, oh, and one of the Audis.
Well, that's one of the
lock, yes, Santa Lock car. No, that's out forever. And the McLaren, is that the 59 or the 58?
Must be the 59, I think.
59. So the Audi and the McLaren have come together somewhere, and both of those cars are out. So we're down now to 32 or 31 cars because the 101 attempt to, I don't know if you mentioned that, the 101 attempt to Lamborghini failed to make the start.
Now, do you think we're going to full course yellow for this?
It depends where the cars are. If they're sufficiently behind barriers or near the barriers, again, a good move. That's the 28 car, that's the Will Stevens, Rennie Rast. You know, that's intelligent race driving, taking advantage of the opening lap. You've obviously got good grip in your car, so you're going to make the best use of that grip at the earliest point that you can. So we've got number 4. Oh, look at this. I do not like to see that. That should be a full course yellow to that situation. Double waved yellow flags. I guarantee you not one of those drivers has slowed down any more than they might have done on the opening lap.
The 5 car, the Phoenix Racing Molo Madsen car with the Picarillo, I believe he stopped as well at turn 7. So the 84 in the lead then, and racing continues. We've not got a full course caution. And look at that crossing the track, John.
Yes, I mean, everybody's gone through, so the circumstances are fine. It was just when the cars were coming up to turn 12, that was a concern. We know the outcome of other events. So let's go back to this race. There is the lead, Maximilian Buch, and the gap has come down by 1/10 of a second. Enzo Weed in the second place. Audi has taken a 10th or so out of. In fact, Enzo Weed had the fastest lap on lap 2, 1:46.038, a 10th or less, half a 10th quicker than Maximilian Buch, who we all know is a mega in a Mercedes-Benz. Enzo Weed is a gentleman driver in the Audi, and he came of age, I think, yesterday evening.
He certainly did. Obviously had that certainly come of age this year with his great Brands Hatch success as well. And I think we are going to get that full course yellow as they hook this car out of the way. Give everybody a chance for a breather. And of course it'll close everybody up as well.
3, 2, 1, full course yellow now.
So there is the indication. So the McLaren, I think it's on the exit of turn 12. It managed to get either tagged or pushed literally off the track, so it needs to be removed. So full course yellow. Everybody's now just slowed down to a delta speed 80 kilometers per hour. They're meant to keep equidistant between each car, and what we saw yesterday after that full course yellow was when the track went green, Felix Rosenquist had a massive advantage. What the second and third place cars were doing, they were not with the program.
I think Martin Plowman it was Plowy in that 59 car, and that's the end of their campaign for this weekend, so that would be a big disappointment for them. So Mercedes, Audi, Mercedes. And it'll take them a couple of minutes just to hook this car out of the way, as we've got a great shot off the front here.
Yeah, that is turn 12. You can see just on the outside of the corner where the McLaren is sort of half buried into the tower bales, and then into the very long, slightly uphill turn 13. And in itself, it's not a corner that gives you any real sense of achievement, but it's more important to get track position as you come into this final turn 14, where then you get onto the straight, and that's a very important part of the circuit.
Pointing forward from Antonius, number 23 Nissan. Now we're looking back from Alexander Sims, and some great onboard shots as everyone just takes a breather here. 53 minutes remaining. Let's see the start again, John, and you take us through this one.
Everybody's going to the right of the racetrack. That's the intuitive thing a racing driver will do, but you can't put 34 into one. But you can see that the Audi Enzo Weed had the marginal advantage, but there's the Mercedes going down on the left-hand side. It could afford to brake a little bit later, which is what he does, but he brakes too late. He can't get the Mercedes slowed down. So you've got Maximilian Buch coming through, you've got the sister car, the 86 car, and then there's the battle between the 1 and the 33 Audi, and eventually it's the 33 Audi that gets it, but ultimately out of this melee, because it continued in turn 2, this is going down from the onboard shot down into turn 1.
That's the view from the Nissan, yes, from Buncombe. And there he is right behind the McLaren.
I mean, everybody here almost is not at a standstill, but they have to back out of it. You have to anticipate those cars that are further ahead of you are slowing down when you're still in full throttle. So look at what's going on. Look at the shape of the Mercedes.
Did you see Max? He was in a real tank slapper there, but he held on to it.
I mean, that was absolutely, you couldn't have had it one there. You can see the Lamborghini damage to the left rear, to the bodywork, and that's the rub on the tyre that we didn't catch initially as they came into turn 4. This has been also the corner on the racetrack where a lot of time penalties have been issued, and they're still trying to get this car. Have they got it removed, or they've now got another service vehicle to try and get that car taken away to safety?
I should mention the two Bentleys running 13th and 14th, nose to tail. So a repeat really of yesterday. Race starts, immediately we get full course yellow, and everyone takes a little breather, and then we'll get racing again. And be interested to see what the start's like this time, because it was a bit scrappy the restart last time, John.
Yes, it was. I mean, nobody seemed to be aware that the full course yellow was about to be rescinded. Although the drivers and the teams get the countdown that we get here, and our viewers at home will get on their TV screens, we can hear it, the teams can hear it, but sometimes the cars that are following the lead car ought to be aware that the lead car is going to go when he gets that opportunity.
2 investigations going on, or 3 now, and those investigations both concerning the 88 car of Vautier. So 2 incidents, one with Ede, I think.
Yes, Enzo Ede, and yeah. So I think that was what occurred probably down in turn 2, because we saw the Mercedes trying to get his nose right into the inside of the corner into turn 2, and Enzo Ede, he got a bit of a hip and shoulder, so that forced him slightly wide, and I think that's the investigation. So in simple terms, to sum it up, to stop waffling, it was contact.
It was contact, and there is the Audi there on the flatbed. That will come back, and I think that maybe went off all under its own. And the 59 car is also under investigation. That's the McLaren Martin Plowman, who we don't know exactly how he fell off the circuit, but all we do know is he did.
Yeah, and I think we saw contact somewhere, so they're still getting that McLaren removed, and it's taking a little bit longer than maybe we would have anticipated, so we've still got this full course yellow, and of course the clock's still ticking away, so we're down to virtually, we're 10 minutes into this race, but we've only completed 4 laps.
Talk about the strategy of that. It means that they can conserve the tyres a bit more. It makes it a little bit easier for them.
Yes, I mean, everybody will be on the freshest set of tyres they have. Some teams may have held back if they, for example, the Mercedes, the ACA ASA car that went out on the opening lap yesterday, they'll have lots of fresh tyres, but most of the front runners will be limited on what they have, and they most likely will use it for the second. So let's have a look, and again, this is the contact between the 33. You can see, look, they're absolutely bumping into each other. Enzo Ede trying to defend, Tristan Foutier trying to force, and then of course it pushes the number 1 Audi, and that's Frederick Vervisch. So there was a lot of action, and again, look, contact. Enzo Ede comes back and slams the Mercedes in the side. So that's the reason why there's a collision investigation. That was the incident. It was at the exit of turn 2.
Vautier really getting his elbows out there, being very aggressive. Do you think over-aggressive?
No, I think it was actually Enzo Ede came back, because into turn 2, the Mercedes was squeezing on the Audi, but then he got it back with bonus on the outside of the exit of 2, because suddenly the red Mercedes was 4 wheels on the grass.
And that's put it back to 4th place.
And there is Christopher Hasse. He's sort of waiting to see what the outcome of this investigation. He's going to take over the car from Enzo Ede, and we know that Christopher Hasse is one of the stars currently in the Audi driver lineup.
That was Christopher Mies, wasn't it then?
That's Christopher Mies.
Yeah, you said Hasse.
There's
2 Christophers. What can we do with that?
Christopher Mies, yes.
There they are in that garage. Let's have a look at that again if we can. Here we are. Look, watch this.
It's on the exit, Mike. Watch it. It's red Mercedes. Suddenly it's punted onto the grass.
John, you've seen it again. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm just waiting to see what the Mercedes does, because suddenly it ends up on the grass, and my conclusion was there was contact with the right front of the 33.
Well, was he just carrying too much speed, though?
Well, I don't know, but the impression I got was that maybe the Enzo Audi might have just clipped the left rear of the red Mercedes. So we wait to see it. It's in the hands of the stewards there investigating it. There you can see some concern on the face of Vincent Vos. He'll wait the outcome. It may have been totally the fault of Tristan Vautier. He may just have run wide. It was hard to tell from that shot, but the inclination was, and the fact that it's an investigation, it could be on the entry into turn 2, or it could be for what occurred on the exit of turn 2.
See that McLaren, it's on the flatbed, it's going to be moved soon. Very disappointment for Martin Plowman. It's another guy that's plied his trade for a long time over in America. He's run the Indy 500 a couple of times, run it, not won it, and also races in the United Sports Car Series, and has done with a lot of success there in the BAR1 team.
Just looking, Andrew, as the cars came on, the 13th place Bentley number 7 and the 14th place number 8. There's a big gap between those two cars now. I would like to see everybody running a uniform distance. Again, you can see just at the tail of the number 86 Mercedes, there's a big gap then to Frank Stippler in 6th place. That shouldn't be. Each driver should be on his toes to ensure that the car ahead of him is a uniform distance and doesn't open up that gap, which sometimes you get caught out by.
We've got a full course yellow.
Look at
that, it's ridiculous.
This is nuts. This is not how a full course yellow is meant to operate.
What I was going to say is that in a lot of series, they actually put a pace car out there, and that controls the pace, and then that backs them all up together. But of course here, you're using the guy who's leading the race to set the pace at the front.
Well, the lead car is setting the pace. It's the cars that are behind that are stopping and going and stopping and going.
John, are they doing that because they're worried about temperatures?
Well, I mean, temperatures aren't an issue because everybody doesn't like to run their car slowly in a really hot day. You need the volume of air to get through the cooling, the radiators, and to some degree for the brakes. So this isn't a big braking circuit as such. But nonetheless, it is not how it is intended to be. And obviously, well, everybody's looking at their water temperature readouts. If they're going over, they're tripping a signal on the dash, or they're getting information from the garage to say, look, we have a water temperature problem. Drop back and let some air get into your radiator. Well, maybe that's what's doing. But the downside is you're getting a very messy.
Green flag, green flag.
So here we go. Green flag is go, go, go at turn 5.
The first of the two WRT Audis took a great big cut across that chicane. You say the stewards aren't too worried about that?
I think at turn 5 and turn 6, it's sort of a bit of a given. There's no significant gain or advantage in doing it. And if you're very, very close to another car, it's more a force majeure situation. It's really on the exit of turn 4, the exit of turn 11 are the two primary areas that have been giving people. There we see Rob Bell and the Soul Garage 59 McLaren, and we saw him in an incident here yesterday with Steff Dusseldorf in the road racing BMW, but that doesn't appear to be anywhere around. In the meantime, there's the 2nd place Audi, there's the 3rd place Audi, and there's the 4th place Mercedes. And Maxi Boom, he's 1.8 seconds ahead. Not because he did it in a racing context, but because that's where he was when he came across the line after the race went green.
Well, and now the two WRT cars racing really well together. Eden Vervish, absolutely side by side, and Vervish goes down the inside. I think he grabs the place. Yes, he does.
Yeah, I mean, he did all that work by getting off turn 14 that little bit quicker. Now, Enzo realised he'd made a little error not being on the gas early enough, tried to get back to make the undercut on the number 1 Audi, but wasn't really strong enough to do it. But again, I mean, Enzo he's pumped up. He knows that he won that race yesterday fair and square just on ability and sheer willpower, and he's not going to be happy being dropped by a teammate back into 3rd place.
Rennie Rast up to 7th, John. That's one to note. And Will Stevens, the former Manor Formula 1 driver, will take that over. And, well, the old stager himself, look, Bert Schneider, he's doing well too.
But Bert Schneider, I mean, I'm sure I don't want to bring it up because I know it'll be copied elsewhere, but he was very wide on the exit of turn 4, so he will probably be getting a warning if he does it more than one time. He's got to be careful. Here's the big break, and everybody just gets concertinaed coming into 5, then 6, and they run the curve. The number 8 Bentley and the number 2 Audi, they're having a little bit of a ding-dong. That's the number 2 is Stuart Leonard, and the 8 of Andy Suchek, so they're having a fight. There you can see the number 8 Bentley with the Audi directly behind.
Well, the younger, the Van Thors, has just dropped a couple of places in the 4 car, and Rast just got a fastest middle sector, so he is really on the judge. Rennie Rast, who has raced the prototype Audis at Le Mans in the past. Now, of course, for this year and next year, they're only running 2 cars, means that Reddy doesn't get to drive the prototype. So this is the main focus of his career at the moment.
So that was on board from Lucas Adonez coming through turn 13, again up into 14. One of those long corners, and very often sometimes you find grip early in the corner by hugging the curb, but Adonez is under threat. You can see from Frank Pereira, the 74 Audi. Now Frank Pereira was one of the quickest this morning in the warm-up, but of course didn't have that grid position, so he's going to have a look down the inside on Lucas Adonez as the second of the attempt to Lamborghinis. Also indicates that he's getting held up. Maybe the Nissan's pace is just a little bit slower than the cars that are behind.
But there's great pace in the 84 car, because Maxi Buch just gone fastest lap of the race with a 1:44.861, and that's taken him to, well, over 2 seconds ahead of Vavish now. Eid in 3rd place, Vautier is 4th, then it's Scheider, and then it is Frank Stickler and Rast, and then Parisi.
Yeah, this is a good battle for 5th place now. Effectively 3 cars battling over that position. There you see the Mercedes with the green stripes, the white, the ISR car of Frank Stickler, and then Rennie Rast. And the Rennie Rast, Will Stevens car started the race yesterday back in 28th place. So all that fantastic work done by those 2 drivers to get up. I think they were 10th on the grid or 12th on the grid when they started.
10th they were, John.
10th on the grid. So, I mean, Rennie Rast, again, just pushing. But behind Frank Stickler, it's going to be a lot more difficult to find a way through.
Yeah, Frank Stickler's been very much the architect of the R8 as a race car. He was one of the first people to drive what was a street car and make it into a race car. He's been very much involved in that with the Quattro GmbH outfit.
On board with Frank Pereira, and look how much he closes up to the tail of the Nissan. So this is not a circuit that Nissan have really enjoyed as much as some of the others. They find the very tight nature of the Hungaro ring not playing to the strengths of the Nissan GT-R. But Frank Pereira really all over the rear, just trying to find the opportunity. Normally the Nissan's got good straight line performance, and that's where Frank Pereira will feel frustrated because he's quicker in the corner, but he can't use that extra speed. Look how much, 4 car lengths the gap opened up in what is a relatively short straight, and he's going to try and look down the inside, and he's getting challenged by the Lamborghini. And that's Jerome Moule. He's got very racy all of a sudden as we go back on board with Frank Pereira.
Yeah, terrific racing all down the field, and that is a mark of this Blancpain GT series. Not just at the front, in the middle, even at the back. They're racing wheel to wheel, and they've got the Silver Cup competition going on as well, and the Pro-Am Cup and the Ferraris in the Am Cup, all in close competition.
It's all a bit breathless. I mean, since the lights went out, it barely had a chance to gather. You see the BMW trying to slide up the inside of the Lamborghini coming through turn 4. Oh, and Maxi Buch still getting the hammer down. Fastest first sector of anybody, fastest race lap still. So the lead 2.3 seconds, but it's in this midfield or the back end of the top 20 where it's really everybody's trying to do something, make something happen, you know, try and force an error out of the car that you're following. Frank Pereira all over the back of the Nissan and the twiddly bits of the Hungaro ring, but can't find a way past when he gets onto the straight bits, and coming down into turn 12 again, closes right down onto the tail. Now he might have a little look up the inside into turn 13, but he can't get enough performance where it counts to get alongside. He's going to think about it again. It's all about where do I place my Audi behind the Nissan. I need to do something. But the Nissan's slow in the entry to the corner. That slows Frank Pereira down. He's stuck behind the Nissan. He's probably better placed, though, this time on the exit than the previous time. So look to see if he's going to be brave and take a punt down the inside into turn 1. But, no, he's not going to do it.
Just talking of the Silver Cup, as I was a moment ago, leading that is the Stuart Leonard and Michael Meadows Audi. And they are currently in 14th place, well in the lead of that. And the car, team manager of 88, that is the Vautier car. He has to go to the race director immediately. I think there might be a penalty for that, John. Well, I think that might be the case.
Yes, I think that would have been more than likely the contact that we saw on the entry into turn 2, where Tristan Vautier was really forcing the issue with Enzo Eid and trying to sort of push a very wide Mercedes into the space of a sort of the original size of a Mini. If anybody out there doesn't know what the original Mini looked like,
It was small.
Get alive, you know. I mean, it was tiny, the space, but, you know, that's what happens on the opening lap. And we talked to some of the Mercedes drivers before the race went live, and this whole thing of red mist, what's going to happen? Well, that was a case of red mist in a red car.
Now, down in 25th and 26th place, the two AKA ASP Mercedes in the Pro-Am Cup. They're having a great battle of their own for that class lead. So, as I said, there's all these little subplots going on now. Drivers getting ready to climb aboard, John, and we're
3 minutes away from the pit lane being opened.
Do you think they'll stop as early as anticipated because we had that long yellow?
I think it's a question of where you are, your track position, and who's around you. The thing that we know is that the WRT Audi team are the masters in the pit lane. Frederick Vervies has actually taken a little bit of time out of the lead Mercedes. It's now just under 2 seconds. And big smoke from the back of the Lamborghini, and that looks like another engine problem for the attempt to racing. He's pulled off on the grass, coming down into turn one. He knows that that's not going any further forward.
That usually means a piston's collapse, doesn't it? When you see all that blue smoke, off it is.
It will certainly mean it's expensive. But also what it might mean is, are we going to see another full course yellow 2 minutes before we see the pit lane being opened?
And if we're under a full course yellow, when the pit's opened, they'll be allowed in?
Well, let's watch and see what happens, because that will catch everybody. All the strategy that people were working towards, they may have to reassess that. So we're going to see what's going to happen if that car can be removed to safety. It's not in a position that would be considered dangerous, but I don't like the fact. I'd rather see it being pulled back further to enable that it wouldn't be an issue back behind the barrier where possible.
And just at the front, John, Vervies has closed up a little bit on the Mercedes-Benz. A new fastest overall lap of the race.
So there's oil on the track, that yellow and red flag indicating that there are fluids. It may be oil, it may be a combination of oil and water. So that is partly on the racing line, but it's not on the braking zone going into turn one. So Maximilian Buch, he'll see the sign. He might pull over to the right a bit. No, he's not too concerned. He feels that I can see if there's something glistening on the track surface, but maybe now I pulled over a bit more to the right of the circuit. The gap down a further tenth, Andrew, a further tenth of a second, 1.7 seconds. So waved yellow flags now 1 minute before pit lane opens. It doesn't look as if we're going to see a full course yellow.
It'll be interesting, of course, when we have the pit stops to see if the WRT team again leapfrogs the Mercedes as they did yesterday.
Well, a number of factors. The Mercedes, first of all, is longer than the Audi, so it takes the guys maybe a second or more maybe to run around and do the wheel change. The other thing is that Audi, the WRT team in particular, have got a very sophisticated hub wheel assembly and the wheel nut. So when they address the wheel to the hub, they've got a series of holes for the dowels in the wheel to lock into, whereas with the Mercedes they don't have that variety of holes. So it's all part of the way that some teams have just tried to fine-tune every element of motor racing, and part of motor racing is pit stops.
And that's the professionalism of that WRT team from Belgium. Do a magnificent job. Vincent Vos with his hat on, controlling matters there. So McLaren in 9th place, bit of a better showing. Drivers just jumping around. You did a lot of endurance racing, John. I mean, how do you feel as you're about to get in the car? You get a chance to have a quick word with the driver who's climbing out?
Well, once the driver change has been executed, then the driver exiting normally would help the driver getting in, either with the seat belts or with a radio connection. If there's a drinks bottle, I doubt they would need a drinks bottle, because they're only doing a maximum of 35 minutes, more likely to be something like 30 each.
Cars into the pits, by the way.
Yes, lead car and second place. You know, is it the lead car? Just to see, but certainly the Mercedes is in without getting indications. They're waiting to come across. So it's the Enzo Ede and Christian Vautier. So it was the 3rd and 4th place cars have come in. So Enzo Ede's going to come in, hand over to Christopher Mies, and it's going to be Felix Rosenquist who gets into the Mercedes from Tristan Vautier. That team manager of 88. We've not had any further message from the race director if there's going to be any penalty or any issues, but Christopher Mies, and we see the BMW coming in. So that is Frank Pereira, I believe, coming in behind in the Audi. So it's going to be reasonably busy in the pit lane. And those that came in first have got the advantage. They've got a clear pit. There's the Audi that's rolling first. Where is the Mercedes? We can't see the Mercedes, whether it's rolling yet or not. There it is, and is it behind the Audi? We have to wait and see, but it's the Audi ahead.
Just ahead.
Effectively, Christopher Mies will be an elite, and it's also another Audi is ahead of that red Mercedes. That may be an Audi. No, it's not. So 2 Audis got ahead of the second place, or what was the second place, third place Mercedes.
But we've got to wait to see what happens with the 84 though, as that Lamborghini blasts its way out.
And that certainly did, but he just dropped the clutch on a blue tire smoke. So down the inside into turn 12, a pass by, is that the
85? 85 it was.
So that's the 85 Mercedes getting through on the inside as this battle continues. The 98 BMW. This is all down in 17th position for Steph Dusseldorf. There is the 84 car, Maximilian Buch, still in the lead. Last lap, a 1 minute 44.0, which is probably a couple of tenths. And he's into the pit lane as well. So Maxi Buch has done his business. He's going to hand over to Dominic Barman.
John, this is absolutely key now. You know, they'll be smarting a bit from from yesterday with Audi being quicker than Mercedes. Different team, of course.
Different team.
But let's see how quick this is.
I mean, the HTP have got a great pit crew. There's the number 1 car. So rather depressed sounding Laurens van Voor last night getting in. This is look, you see what's happening. The Audi drivers and the Mercedes drivers helping with those seat belts. I mean, they can change 4-wheel tires in around about 17-18 seconds in the case of Audi. That's massive. There is the 33 car, and that's the car we've got to keep an eye on. And wow, look, the Mercedes comes out behind, and the Audi, now that will be under investigation. That will be under investigation. The Audi thought it was going to get a jump, and he's now been slightly blindsided, so they're going to come out side by side. The Mercedes has let the Audi do the right thing and let the number 84 Mercedes get that advantage. That was close, but I mean, that's how intense that pit lane work is and how you can win and lose a position.
That pit lane was like a motorway on a Friday night.
33 Audi, Christopher Mies behind the wheel, outlap, not even a flying lap, outlap, fastest sector times 1 and 2.
Christopher is absolutely on it. Christopher, you said he's been underrated for a while. I don't think he's underrated anymore. He came out of racing Audis, mainly at the Nürburgring. That's where he's the real expert in the VLN series. But now he's a true international racer, and he's managing to race in various different continents in the world in Audi R8. Having a wonderful time in his career, and he deserves it too. And yeah, Mies looking so good. And all this needs to shake itself out, because there's most of the cars have made their pit stop. How many have we got? Many that haven't, John, with the...
It's about half and half.
Bernd Schneider hasn't stopped yet.
No, there's a number of cars that still... So some teams took that option, and they might have put in... I've seen the opportunity to put in maybe the stronger of the 2 drivers. In the case of the 84 car, Dominic Barman, Maxi Buch, there's not a great deal to pick and choose. I mean, in over a lap, some people say Dominic Barman is actually the quicker driver. There's the number 1 Audi, and that's now got Laurens van Voor in it. He's directly behind, but in effect, we're waiting to see once it's going to take another few laps for it to unfold.
For instance, at the moment, Frank Stippler's in the lead in the ISR from Czechoslovakia team Audi, and Frank driving with Philippe Salaquada, the boss of the team. Philippe with a lot of single-seater experience. So that car stays in the lead at the moment by pure dint of the fact that it hasn't made its pit stop yet, and neither is the car that's second, which is Mike Parisi in the 26 Audi.
So there is the number 1 Audi chasing the Mercedes down into turn 1, and that is the 84 car with Dominic Barman behind. Christopher Mies would appear in the number 33 Audi to be the 3rd place of that top 3. So although he's done stunning lap times on his opening lap, his first flying lap is the fastest race lap, he actually is in 3rd place, and he is presently just under 4 seconds behind the number 1 Audi, but down into turn 2, the battle of the number 4 car and the number 3. So that's Jimenez and Robin Freyens probably in the number 4 car.
Yeah, so this pit stop's always cycles through, and then we get the race really back on. We'll know in a couple of laps, won't we, what the real status is here, but at the moment it's still the 75 which is in the lead. Now they are stopping those, that's the 1st and 2nd car in the race at the moment, because they will cycle back down to about 7th or 8th place, I think is where they're running.
Yeah, the key of staying out is that it's about where will you rejoin, and that's what teams have got to work out. Once the bulk of the field have had their pit stop, do you hang out until the last possible moment, or do you try and make your pit stop and leapfrog your opponents?
John, that's exactly what the 8 Bentley's doing. Andy Soucek's still out there, look, and he hasn't made his pit stop yet, so he will go to the front now. In fact, he is leading the race temporarily, and The number good Stuart Leonard hasn't been in either, so he'll be in second place.
And or for that matter, Clement Schmidt in the 85 Mercedes. So they're all sort of hanging about and waiting to see what's happened. So the 22 Nissan, so that's the Sean Wolkenshaw, Ricardo Sanchez car. The 75 car is rolling. It gets ahead. Well, it was the Lamborghini coming in, so that was of no consequence. And is the two Audis, the IRS and the Santa Lock cars, almost side by side as they got to the pit lane exit, but it's the IRS car that gets ahead.
Christopher Mies done the fastest lap of the race last lap. Fantastic, Christopher Mies. He's setting the foundation for winning this race, probably John, now with these quick laps in this middle sector.
So again, now the overlap of cars coming out and those that have been on track. And that's the danger. Looking, and again, you see the Leonard car, or it's not, probably Michael Meadows behind the wheel. Selm getting slightly caught out, and again tries to come back, but the door firmly shut going through turn 3. So that's always the problem. If you've made your stop early, you're up to speed, your tyres are working, those coming out of the pit lane can affect your progress. And that was an example of how it is so easy to lose out.
Yeah, Michael's made his name in the British GT Championship, also run by SRO, of course, and that's a very competitive championship at the moment, but it's certainly not as competitive as this. The pressure really is on here.
They're bumping their way through turn 5 and 6 as the Bentley number 7. That's down, Vincent April down in 16th place. The number 8 Bentley is just now, it's making its pit stop. It was one of the late teams to come in, and the pit window will close in just a little over a minute, so this is the last real opportunity. And pretty much everybody except the number 2 Audi has to make a pitch. Number 2 and the 766 car there, the Suchek is in, so Bentley guys go to work, and wheels and tyres, and this choreography, there's the, well, not what I was going to say, the lead car, the Dominic Baumann Mercedes is the lead car.
Yeah, and Van Thor right behind him, and the gap only 0.6 of a second between them. So when it's all cycled through, it'll be Baumann and the Mercedes in the lead, but Mies will be in 3rd place.
Yes, and Mies is quicker right now than Laurent Van Thor in the 2nd place, Audi, and you know, everybody, Laurent Van Thor has been our always go-to guy in the Audi, the WRT team, but I think he's being challenged in that position. Now, part of that is actually to do with the weight of the respective cars, the 33 car and the 1 car, because Enzo Eid is a big chap, he's probably 95 kilograms. Christopher Mies is probably about 60, and the way that the weights are assessed is there's a baseline weight for every driver pairing of 85 kilograms. So in effect, the 33 cars probably got a 20 kilogram advantage simply because they don't have to carry 20ty kilograms of ballast.
Yes.
Sorry, another long-winded explanation, but it gives us a reason to think why.
It's a reason why Enzo Eid say, I don't need to go to the gym.
Exactly.
You've got to trade off his weight, which gives him an advantage against him being fitter. And I have to say, when he got out of the car yesterday, he was pretty red-faced. Now, it's an hour-long race, but I think he probably does need to get to the gym a bit.
Van Thor right on the tail of Maximilian Buch. The gap, I think, has actually opened up a little bit between 2nd and 3rd place. So whether Christopher Mies has pushed a bit hard or Laurens Van Thor has realised the challenge. Now it's going to be a battle between the 2 German marques yet again here at the Hungaroring. Dominic Baumann, he knows what he needs to do. He knows that he's got certain strengths here in Hungaroring, but Audi also know they've got their own strengths. And this is a circuit, we repeated this I think yesterday, that is probably fractionally more an Audi circuit than any other marque, but between the Mercedes and Audi, there's little to pick and choose. Christopher Mies, just to update you, is 2.3 seconds. And look, I thought slightly more than that as they came in to turn 12. So I think the gap between 2nd and 3rd is stabilising. Instead of being a few tenths every lap, it's now maybe a bit of a tenth and maybe a little bit more. And
it's cycled through now. Leonard has made his pit stop. He's just going out. That's him there now. But Baumann leading Van Thor by half a second at the moment. And John, that was an extraordinary interview you did with him last night, because I've never heard a racing driver quite so down when he just finished in 3rd place, and he said maybe it's I was so quick at the start of the season, but now maybe it's me or maybe it's the car.
Well, I think the explanation I gave about the difference, the 33 car and the 1 car, there is technically an advantage to this car, the 33 car, because of the requirement, a minimum weight across the board of every Blancpain Sprint, GT, Endurance, whatever. They've got a minimum 85 kilogram driver weight limit.
Yeah.
And there is a slight advantage to the 33 car because of that.
But why hadn't he thought of that? Why did he say it might be me? I mean,
because he maybe didn't talk to the right person in the WRT Audi team.
Or maybe, but it just shows, you know, we think about the physicality of this, how fit these guys are from a physical point of view, but there's also their mental strength.
I think the mental strength, they've got their own individual mental strength. I think also Lawrence is a very cool, laid-back guy. Anytime I talk to him, he never is flustered. You never see him break out into a temper or, you know, whatever the opposite of that might be. But that was an unusual occasion to hear a driver openly almost questioning, is it me?
Yeah.
And whether he wanted me to say, no, it's not you, Laurent. But if he's in the podium position, I can say it to him, well, you got ahead of the 33 car in spite of them having that slight weight advantage.
Be interested to see what Felix Rosenqvist does now. He's currently in 5th place in the car that started by Vautier, and we know that Rosenqvist is really fast, and there is the 88 car in front of our picture, the bright red Mercedes-Benz, not a colour we expect Mercedes to be in, and I think he might push it really hard now. He's got to get past Will Stevens, and Will still settling into being a sports car driver. He's got a couple of programs. He's also been racing the LMP2 in the FIA WEC series.
Just watching a battle that's going on around 13th, 14th, 16th, 20th. I mean, this is the meat and two veg, effectively, of the Blancpain GT Sprint series. So we're on board with the 63 car there. That's the Lamborghini. So just coming up towards turn 4. That was the Grasser Racing Mirko Bertolotti, get it out. And again, watching again, one of the Nissans just making its way through. Alex Buncombe, I could say Martin Brundle, he would like to be in a Nissan, I bet. But Alex Buncombe in this 20th position. The sister car, Sean Walkinshaw, 22nd. That's the best showing actually the 22 car has had this weekend. It's only 2 positions behind the sister car, the 23.
Pro-Am Cup being led by the 89 car. Jean-Pierre Belloc is now at the wheel, who raced at Le Mans this year with the driver. I don't know if you followed that story, John, the paraplegic driver.
I didn't particularly. I just want to keep an eye on this little battle here coming into turn 13. And the 74 car, that's Stockinger, Marlon Stockinger behind the wheel, having had Frank Pereira do a very good opening stint.
And there on the capture, you see that Baumann has now opened that lead to 0.8 of a second. He is really on it in the 84 Mercedes. What about Mies? Is he closing up on Van Thor?
Yes, he has. No, he has closed. It was just over 2 seconds. It's now just under 2 seconds. So the pace at the front is just going forward, forward, forward. I mean, Lawrence Van Thor is just under a second. He's behind. And at some point, you know, you cannot constantly drive on the rear of another car, partly because of the temperatures that you're going to encourage to rise, your brake temperatures as well, but also just it doesn't serve any purpose. So sometimes if you let yourself drop back by up to a second, then build your pace up, get your momentum. But the performance differentials between the Mercedes and the Audi are so minimal, it'll come down to just simply, well, are we going to see the lead cars getting into traffic? Probably not. And the 26 car goes around the 75. Is that a problem? What's going on up here? 3 Audis. Santa Quadra.
He's got a problem. He's definitely got a problem.
Yeah, he's certainly very messy, I think, through the chicane. So, yeah, so he's been, he got probably offline, picks up a bit of the rubber that would be offline, so he's off it altogether. In fact, he's letting the Bentley number 8 come through. I suspect that's more of a problem than it is just simply by going offline. He may well be making a visit into the pit lane, so let's keep an eye on that 75 and see whether it is going to be a call into the pits or not. So it's coming up as it goes. Yes, he's going in the pits. So Santa Quadra, he has a problem. Maybe the problem was the cause of him overrunning.
Just looking, no puncture there. No, I don't think so. Could be a gear shift problem. Could maybe a problem with the engine.
Anyway, the bottom line is
he's history.
That's it, he's toast. So into the pit lane for the 75, that's a disappointment. The guys are all ready with the air guns and make sure that they'll probably just do a very rapid tyre change in the event, but I suspect the car will be put onto the dollies and pushed back into the garage as they looking at the 85 Mercedes just coming down into turn 1 and sort of flinched a little bit to look down the inside. Well, it's gone again. Maybe it was a tyre. Maybe we couldn't pick up on the rear. It was a tyre, but the 85 Mercedes now looking to find a way around the 74. As it comes down into turn 2. That's a Marlon Stockinger.
Battle for 16th and 17th place,
Jasmine Jafar in the Mercedes. So Jasmine Jafar So apparently it was the right rear, we gather. So didn't really look it, but it was hard to tell because it was on the other side of the cars that came into the pit lane. So Jasmine Jafar again, we saw how racy he was back at Spa just over a month ago when he and in fact Jaume Berman had a collision in the top of Radio, and that didn't please the Mercedes management, but back on board with the young Malaysian driver. You can see he's been taking lumps of time out of Marlon's stocking jersey. Comes round the back of the circuit.
Baumann impressing me, pulling away further. The gap's almost a second now. Mies still closing up a little bit on Van Thor, the double winner in the past of the Bathurst 12 hours, winner of the Nürburgring 24 hours a year ago. That shows the quality of Christopher Mies.
So down the inside, but he overruns the Stockinger, tries to make the pass sticky, just about recovered sufficiently, but that's going to put the Mercedes of Jasmine Jafar into a good position as the two Lamborghini.
Contact!
Oh yeah, the Mercedes is the winner. That was dumb, absolutely dumb. Two cars get past, and he's forced the Lamborghini into the pit lane to boot. So what's that? I mean, where is the thinking? Where do these guys get their racing brains from? That was Marco Mappelli. I mean, dear me. Totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary.
Mappelli new into the series, and I think he might be going to see the race director later.
That just slides down the inside. So Stockinger tries to get past the BM. The BM makes the undercut. So it's side by side. It's just about squirt from Munich and squirt from Ingolstadt, but the Audi on the inside might just, Stockinger might be able to hold the position, runs wide, and thank you very much. Nicky Katzberg says, I'll take that one any day of the week and give it any other time you want.
Meanwhile, here's the Lambo in the pits. Meanwhile, Baumann increased the lead now to 1.4 seconds. He is really on it.
There is that right rear. I mean, that was enough ripping of his bodywork and damage to the. I suspect that's to one of the water coolers, but
it must be.
It's Hubert's water.
Yeah.
But whatever it is dripping onto the apron outside the pit box, and the car being lifted onto the dollies, and that was utterly. That drives me nuts when I see that kind of unnecessarily aggressive driving. I know everybody's working for a position, but that was totally avoidable by both drivers, particularly by Mappelli.
Well, he pays the price. Meanwhile, we're almost three-quarters of the way through this race now, John, just 16 minutes remaining, and Baumann, every lap increasing his lead. Now it's 1.5 seconds, and Christopher Mies just a little bit quicker again than Van Thor. He's closing up on his teammate, but it's only little increments. But Stevens doing some good lap times as well in 4th place, and Rosenquist doesn't seem to be making any further progress. He's in 5th.
Yeah, I mean, they're all running 143s, 4s, 5s, 6s. Quickest Mercedes on that last lap, apart from the lead one, was Jules Simkoviak in the 86 car. But I mean, it's given. There's the man, happy boy. Come on, give us a big smile. He'll talk to us any day of the day. But what now? Back at Spa, he was a sore head at one point. Anyway, he's happy to see his car comfortably, just under 1.5 seconds. Van Thor took a little bit of time out, but you know, it's literally, you're talking about a half a tenth here, half a tenth there, and the 33 car of Christopher Mies, that charge that we thought might bring it to the tail of the number 1 Audi of Lawrence Van Thor, that seems to have also levelled out, so it's Audi 2nd and 3rd, and I suspect with 15 minutes remaining, unless something unforeseen happens, not expecting to see a lot of change between 2nd and 3rd place.
Just for British fans, the number 8 Bentley is in 10th place. Maxime Soulet now at the wheel, and the 7th Abril at the wheel, that's in 11th position. What about the McLarens, John? They're struggling a little bit.
55, well that's one of the gentleman driver Ferraris. Well, that's of course, that's Stanovic and Mastroianni. Yes, Mastroianni.
Yeah, they had a win in their class yesterday, and just have a look how they're doing. They were leading, actually. They were leading.
Let's look and see, because there's the battle, and he takes the punt down the inside and tries to force the issue off the throttle, and bang into the rear of the car, and again an avoidable incident. That'll get investigated by the stewards because that was a contact that could have been avoided. And the 55 car, which was ahead going into the corner, is the loser. And I believe that the perpetrator should suffer a penalty for that incident.
Well, that was the battle for the lead of the AM Cup, you see.
You see, these AMs are not gentlemen at all. They're just like any other racing driver out there.
Rock apes.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, they're just racers at heart, and just the difference is they've got a day job where they make their living and get the money to go motor racing with.
Well, Baumann now has increased the lead a little bit more to 2.1 seconds. And again, Mies has chiselled away a bit at Van Thor. And the last lap took 0.7 a second off him, actually.
This is concerning for the lead cars coming up behind one of the Ferraris, and he gets through cleanly. Good, well-judged pass, because it's important to get ahead just coming into a corner like turn 12, and he's going to have the Ferrari between himself and the following Audis, and they're going to have to wait until they get out of turn 14 before they're going to be close enough to pass. So the gap when they come across start-finish line on the last lap, lap 23, was 2.1 seconds. I imagine it's going to be nearer to 2.5 seconds, and that's what Maximilian Buch was looking to do, is to use that traffic to his advantage. Let's have a look and see. The gap, well, it's only 1.5 seconds. That was maybe because of traffic elsewhere, but normally you would expect to see it increase in the time between the first and second with traffic coming into play.
Well, those two incidents we've seen recently are both being investigated by the stewards.
So we're just looking at, there's the 85 Mercedes coming across the line. Sorry, the 86 of Simkoviak.
Yeah.
Then Christopher Hasse on the Audi. Robin Friedens up to 8th place. Jimenez in 9th. And then in Trent, the first of the Bentleys, Andy Soucek.
But so close between these different Audi drivers in second, third and fourth place, sandwiched by the two Mercedes. And then Christopher Hasse in 7th place. And the Bentley is the best non-Audi stroke Mercedes-Benz in 10th.
Yeah, the two Bentleys are running around actually nose to tail.
Yeah.
Well, not quite nose to tail, but in 11th and 12th.
10th or 11th, John, at the moment.
10th and 11th.
Yeah.
Having somewhat of a, I suppose you might call it a lonely-ish race, more so for Vincent April. He's only 1.2 seconds behind. There is the number 8 car of Soucek. There you can see the sister car that little bit further behind, but with nobody really particularly close to Vincent April, so he's not concerned about who's behind him. But certainly, I know that Andy Soucek will want to get ahead of Sergio Jimenez as quickly as possible, and that's the Bentley's got good performance around the Hungaro ring. The car works well. It's got the rides curbs very well. That was one of the comments that anybody who drives a Bentley will say it works well using the curbs. But there is the second and third place battle, but a bit of traffic ahead, so again the gap up to 2.4 seconds, first to second, and then second to third, down to 0.3 of a second. Christopher Mies has decided, I might fancy a bit of second place with 11 minutes to go.
I wonder if there's any team orders here. Just don't take each other off.
Well, that's the only team order that will be being instructed to both drivers, and neither driver will want to lose a position, particularly as points. This is the point scoring race, and they will want to maximise best possible for the team, not just for the individual drivers.
Talking of points, John, the points leader is down in 21st place. They certainly won't be adding to their total. Parenti at the wheel now, quicker than the people around him, but well, a howler really for Garage 59 here. It just hasn't worked for them around the Hungaro ring.
A little bit further down the field, looking at Felix Rosenqvist coming past, he's what, 1.2 seconds behind. Whoa! Jules Simkoviak, well, that was a bit of a dirt track style of driving. Maybe he thought he was doing a bit of rallycross, but he managed to get it all gathered up. But just shows you just what a fine line it is between being in control, looking like everything's tickety-boo, and all of a sudden turns in aggressively, the back end starts to go wayward, and he got it all gathered together. Did a good job keeping the car on track.
Well, I'm just really fascinated. There's Enzo Ede, the Belgian, looking on. Doesn't look like a racing driver, but he's got a lot of speed.
And he's wondering, can I have a double hit here this weekend? And with 9 minutes, just under 9 minutes, or over 9 minutes to go, probably it's unlikely. But you can see there on screen, the 33 Audi has been closing down on the number 1 Audi by over half a second over the last 3 laps. And Laurens van Voor will be feeling the heat from Christopher Mies. Christopher Mies might have a look down the inside. He's still a big...
Yeah.
He can't afford to take a big punt, and in the course of doing so, get into contact with the number 1 car and take one or other of those 2 cars out. So that's his challenge. If he's going to make a pass, it's going to be done almost before you get to the braking zone.
It can't be the last of the late breakers, as we say. So there they are, fascinating struggle between these two for second and third place, but this really plays into the hands of Dominic Baumann, who has now increased the lead to 3.5 seconds, and the 2 Audis scrapping. Probably Van Thor driving a bit defensively now, can't leave a gap. So at the front, Mercedes-Benz. So for this weekend, it could be 1 Audi win and 1 Mercedes-Benz victory. That's the way it's looking, but motor racing, you never know until the last corner. Meanwhile, these 2 Audis still at it. That Ferrari hanging on well behind them. He got lapped, and now he's hanging on very well indeed. And amazingly, the fastest first sector coming from the Kessel Racing Ferrari. David Perel is shown as having the fastest sector one time. Finding that difficult to believe. I wonder that's a bit of a glitch in the timing system. But he is down in 26th place. But Perel and Steve Earle, who's very much been involved in running historic festivals in the States, they are leading in that AM Cup. So well done to them. Now here is 28. This is still the battle for 4th place. And Rosenqvist in the red car, pushing Will Stevens. So what a change in career pattern for Will Stevens. And it's certainly done a lot more overtaking since he joined the Blancpain from his Formula 1 days. Of course, started his Formula 1 career in the Caterham and then moved to the Manor team. But now enjoying his sports car racing in 2 different series. And Will Stevens doing a good job, just in a 1:44.2. And Baumann all the time is increasing that lead, pulling away inexorably from the rest of the field, but then he's got a bit of traffic perhaps coming up. Meanwhile, the good battle here with the 99 dives down the inside of the BMW. It had such a magnificent day, BMW at Spa 24, and goes past the Mercedes. And that was for 13th place Jafar, being passed there by Philip Eng, with a lot of history in the Porsche Carrera Cup and the champion in that, both in Deutschland and in the Super Cup, and knows his way around here very well from those campaigns, I'm sure. So the M6 also races out in America, the United Sports Car Series, in this trim in what they call the GTD series, but that GTD is effectively GT3. So that car developed, of course, in the GTE class. We've got those M6s run by Bobby Rahal's team, and congratulations to Graham Rahal, who won a race yesterday. Let's go back to this struggle here for 3rd place. And or 4th and 5th place, I should say, and Rosenqvist pressing Stevens. Rosenqvist, the reigning Formula 3 champion, and he's still trying to find a way by. Remember, he led here in the qualifying race yesterday as the BMW goes across the line, and look now, the 2 Audis side by side. And the number 3 pushing hard. At the front, Baumann increases the lead more to 4 seconds. The clock now at 5 minutes to go. There is the 3 Audi. Jimenez. See that? That, I think, is the under tray from the 3. There's the carbon fibre bit sitting right up against the wall. That flew off. I don't know, that was from an earlier incident. That will affect the aerodynamics of that car, which is currently in 11th place, and it's been challenged by the number 2, Leonard Meadows, the Silver Cup leading car, and indeed the marshals work hard, the yellow flag race, and that piece of carbon fibre is, and there, in fact, he's slowed right up because of that, and I don't think he's going to complete the race, but at the front, Still Baumann and still this battle going on here with Rosenqvist pushing hard at Stevens. The car with the bright green logo from the WR team. And, well, Stevens defending well here from Rosenqvist. Battle for 4th and 5th. See how the gap has closed up on our caption there as Baumann still increases the lead, and Van Thor has certainly got the measure now of Mies, although Mies currently the fastest man out on the track, and it's 0.9 of a second between those two. And the 98 car pushing hard, the Row Racing BMW M6 after the Lambo, and the 98 car, Nicky Katzberg there trying to find a way around the 63, and the 63 being driven by Mirko Bortolotti. John's very keen on him, and Bortolotti leads Katzberg. You see that the gap between those 14th and 15th cars has seesawed quite a lot. Still Baumann increasing the lead lap by lap. Only a couple of laps less now. The man with the checkered flag, the most important flag in racing, will be getting it ready. Are we going to see any late changes? There's the 25. Then we got one in the pits. You see all that oil dried down there, and that's that Audi 3 that lost the floor, and I think that, as it went out, punctured the tyre. So that's history. I don't think they'll get that back in the race at this late stage. You see just 2 minutes 31 left, and Stevens, well, there's the 3 car, and Stevens under that pressure from Rosenqvist, but still hangs on in an excellent 4th place. He's flashing his lights out of frustration now. Move over, I'm quicker than you, I'm flashing my lights at you. It won't do any good at all, I can assure you. He's not taking any notice of that. He's focused absolutely forward now in 4th place. Will Stevens, well, in Grand Prix racing, he wasn't used to people flashing his lights at him, that's for certain. But welcome to the world of sports car racing. Welcome to the world of intimidation here at this fantastic Hungaroring circuit just near Budapest. Only a couple of rounds left of the Blancpain series to go. We're at the sharp end of this series now. Every point counts. But Baumann now almost increased the lead to 5 seconds. And Mies still holding station behind Van Thor, and then this battle is behind them for 4th and 5th places, with Stevens and little Rosenqvist, the Formula 3 champion, making the big leap out of single-seaters, as it did, of course, is Stevens. There is our 33 car, and indeed this is the 2nd and 3rd place machines heading towards the checkered flag. I can't see that changing at all in these closing, dying seconds of what's been an excellent race. And the pit stop at car number 1, for some reason, is being investigated. Maybe too many people working on the car, and nevertheless, I don't think that's going to affect the overall outcome. I certainly hope not, because obviously 1 is in 2nd place. But just to say again, pit stop of car number 1 is under investigation. Maybe there'll be a penalty. Now, just thinking back about that, there was, John commented on it, there was an unsafe release, and maybe that's what that'll be about. I wonder if they will get a penalty for that. Could be a bit harsh. Hate those sort of things affecting the overall outcome of a race. Still, the battle goes on between Lamborghini and BMW a bit further down the field, and the 2 Bentleys running in 9th and 10th places. They continue towards the line. We have completed the 1 hour. The checkered flag is out, and a famous victory here, I think, for the 84, a well-earned victory. Well, just hoping that the last few corners will go all right in the 84 car, the HTP team. And Maximilian Bucht and Dominic Baumann both done an equally good job. Here's the 2 Audis almost tied together by a piece of elastic. Everyone just on tenterhooks in the pits. Baumann heading towards the line, and here he is, ready to take this victory here for Mercedes, and he takes the win. Excellent drive for the double Bs, Bucht and Baumann. Great job for them, great job from the HTP team, HTP Motorsport. Meanwhile, Van Thor crosses the line, 0.5 of a second ahead of Mies, and then it's Stevens, stays ahead of Rosenqvist. And then next will be the 86 car of Jules Simkowiak, and he takes the finish, followed by Christopher Haas. Robin Fringe will be next up, and then we'll see the two Bentleys as this battle continues to the line. And there we go, silver winner crosses the line. Meadows, having led throughout, takes an 11th place finish. Very good job from him and Stuart Leonard. And Pro-Ams and Ams yet to take the flag, but in the Ams it's going to be the 111, Stephen Earle coming over from the States for this, and David Perrell will win that. And Belloc will take the win in the Pro-Am. Just 3 cars running now in that category. So the rest of the field comes through the race, where we had a great drive from the, here's the Am winner just finishing, and Steve Earle did the start. David Perrell from South Africa, he takes the flag in that latest style Ferrari 488 from the Kessel Racing team. They run a big fleet of those cars in various different championships. But, well, huge disappointment for Garage 59 today, and eventually finishing in 17th place, Alvaro Parenti. So it's a very different story from the previous sprint race. With all those WRT Audis together, well, the colour of the day seems to be silver and red, doesn't it? Or dark silver and red. Baumann then just coming home. Fans enjoyed that. They've got some more support races to come yet. They'll stay in their seats, I've no doubt, for some more great action to come up later. So obviously a good day for the HTP Mercedes team. Already got service vehicles on the track. You see that oil slick that was left has been covered up, and there is the 4, Robin Fringe. He turns into the paddock, having finished, of course, in 8th place. But here is our winner. Let's see the celebrations there. Number 1 stops in front of the board. Mercedes, Audi, and Aussie. And I wonder if John will get hold of Van Thor again, see if he's a little bit more up this time. 3rd, now he's 2nd, but there are the winners, and a big hug from the 2 Germans. Don't do your back in doing that. And well, Dominic Baumann did a great job. Car was run so well early on by Maxi Bucht. There he is, the smaller of the 2 drivers. And there's John already getting them into position for the interview, so I'm sure we'll be going down there pretty soon. And there's Christopher Haas. And so let's go down then to the winners. And I think we're going to go to Maxi Bucht first to see how he feels after that outstanding drive. John Watson.
Max, congratulations. But I have to say the start looked like downtown rush hour traffic in Budapest.
Yeah, my start was not brilliant. It was okay. First corner, I was on the outside. And then I saw that Vautier and Ide start to touch each other. And then I gained something in turn 2, and they all went a bit wide. And
some genius has just set off a fire extinguisher. Yeah. I mean, is that entertainment or is that entertainment?
The best mechanics. I had the opportunity then in turn 2. I took it, and from then on it was really a joy to drive. The car was perfect. The pit stop was great. Dominic did a great job. But what I really have to say is that I didn't like it that under Fulco's yellow or before that
turn 12 that the truck was on the track, which I think was really dangerous, and I didn't like that.
Well, anyway, that was cleared very quickly. Dominic spoke to you before the race started. We talked about how you guys going to behave. Your teammate did a great job, and then you just brought it home.
Yeah, the car was amazing. I went in the car and I just felt, yeah, go, and the car could do it. After I had one problem with overtaking a slower car. But then it was just perfect. We had no tire degradation. Everything was just really good. But the base, Maxi set the base with in second corner. Otherwise, you cannot overtake here.
Lawrence Van Voort was in the number 1 Audi. At any point, did you think that was going to be a serious threat, or were you always in control?
Yeah, it's not easy because you don't know which tires he got from the pit stop. But then he was behind me, and I knew we were quite strong on the long run. So I just kept doing, and it was perfect, yeah.
Well done, guys. Congratulations.
Yeah, very well done from them, and interesting to hear that Dominic saying very difficult to overtake round this track. Indeed, it's the Hungaroring always is famous for that, but we have seen some excellent, outstanding overtaking this weekend. There's that fire extinguisher going off, and I thought John did a great job to continue with the interview. I think he got a bit of the fluid in his eyes, or the dust in his eyes, to look at the reaction from the boys, but I don't like to see that really. So fully recovered, John is down there, and I think he's going to be with Fred Vervish and find out what they think about second place.
Remember just talking to Max Abuk, he said, I mean, the first, second corner, real mess. How did you deal with all that?
Yeah, it was a big mess. I mean, I thought I had the advantage in corner 2, and I said I would brake late to have nobody in hitting me, but yeah, they hit me in the door, so I thought our race was over, but luckily we could continue, but yeah, we lost obviously a lot of time, so quite a big mess. Yeah.
WRT is a big Audi team. How important is it to be the first Audi home, even if you're not winning?
I mean, we are fighting for the championship, and this is a very important race. It's the penultimate last race, so we needed to win to really catch points. Second is for sure not bad, but yeah, we tried in the pit stop and it didn't work.
Okay, Lawrence, last night I've never heard you sound, I would just call it low, but have you perked up a bit today?
It was a bit better. Still not 100% happy, of course, because we didn't win. At the beginning, I thought we were good. The first laps, the new tires, I was stronger than the Mercedes, but then I started to have more and more problems. Not to back off. In the middle of the race, I lost kind of my rhythm, and by the end, I could refine it to keep second place, but it was a difficult one.
Well, as I say, it's all about points, dear boy, points.
Yeah, but we need to catch points, so we need more.
Thank you.
So there we are. We've had a fastest pit stop award. I think the 33 team has won that. We'll catch up with that in just a moment as we see the Belgian flags on the podium there. So the Belgian national anthem, German national anthem, what am I talking about? Getting matricular mixed up. German national anthem rings out, and German cars first and second from German teams. Quite sure for the Union Jack up there at the moment. Here's that's the pit stop challenge award going and being handed out. In fact, that's what's going on at the moment by the lady from TM Motorsports. Now we can catch up with the third place drivers down there. Let's see what Enzo Ida and Christopher Mies have got to say about their race.
Enzo, after a great win yesterday, you're ebullient. Now you look like somebody's taking your toy away.
No, not really. I think the start was quite rough. I had a good start, but I think the Mercedes has a little bit more torque and top speed, so he came really close to me, and then we were 3-4 in the second corner. I lost one position. Then with the full course yellow, it was also difficult for me to manage the tire temperature. And then I lost one more position. I came in third, and we finished in third. I think it's good points for the championship. I think we'll be back in the lead now, so looking forward to Barcelona.
So you're not going to be driving around a red Mercedes in the future, are you?
We will see. Who knows?
Anyway, good drive, great weekend. Christopher, you tried your hardest there. We could see you were catching to the sister one Audi, but at the end of the day, I think prudence and championship points for both drivers most important.
Well, I think it's good for the team to have two cars on the podium. For sure we would have liked to win this race, but yeah, I gave everything I had. But as soon as I went too close to Lawrence, I got more and more understeer, and I couldn't follow him because dirty air, you know, with aerodynamic isn't good for us. So yeah, I could have gone much quicker than Lawrence and probably could have catched the Mercedes. But yeah, well, first you have to catch them, and then you have to overtake. So I did manage to overtake, and that's the payback.
Anyway, congratulations. Was that a beard you're trying to grow?
I tried to, but it doesn't work.
Thank you.
Remember, John Watson shaved his beard off after he won his first Formula One race. And he's certainly been in the wars down there. First he got fire extinguisher foam over him, or powder, and then the next thing we see there was champagne spraying off the podium from the pit stop award. And he got covered in that a bit as well. So John might need a bit of a change of clothing. So here the team's waiting to go on the podium. And I think it'll only be a moment before that takes place. So an outstanding race here, and let's check out those results. Subject, of course, to the stewards in him. Burton Baumann winning it from Vervish and Van Thor, Ede and Mies. We heard from all those six. Raston Stevens came home fourth. Fortier and Rosenquist Schneider and Sumoviak. Then Parisi and Haas, Van Thor and Fringe. Then the two Bentleys, Soule and Souchet just ahead of Kane and Abril in 11th place. Meadows and Leonard winning the Silver Cup. Jafar and Schmid were in 12th place. In 13th position, the racing BMW, Sims and Eng. Then the best of the Lamborghinis, Pula and Bortolotti. Then the second of the BMWs, followed by Monti and Sandstrom in their Audi, Bell and Parenti in the McLaren, the previous championship leaders, Ordonez and Buncombe and the Sanchez Walkinshaw. Those two Nissans finishing together and going through down to Steve Earle and Dave Perel there, who won the AM Cup. And here's the rest of the field. Remember, the McLaren 59 car going off very early on. Pereira Stockinger 25th, and now some of the other drivers. Parrow and Hook, they had a good run also in the AM Cup. I believe they were second or third, and they were third in that. We'll probably see them on the podium in a little moment. So that is the full rundown, all the way down to first to last place. So you head towards the... Now we've got the Silver Cup winners first, and two Leonard and Meadows from the UK. Stuart Leonard really sort of made his first mark racing in the VLN series. Here then the third place, and Enzo Ede. We still haven't found out if he was named after Enzo Ferrari, but I suspect he was. Third place for them, very good job all weekend. And then also with the R8 Audi logo on them in second place. We've got all shaking hands nicely. The number one car of Vervish and Van Thor, the double V team. And then, of course, HTP team coordinator giving them the thumbs up. And here they come. Dominic Baumann, fantastic job for Dominic Baumann and Maxi Bucht. Great job. And the German national anthem plays. There's the team, hard-working boys. Makes it all worth it when you see your boys up on the top of the podium on your national anthem ringing out. Some racing teams can be very international, lots of different nationalities amongst the mechanics, but I believe the HTP is pretty well a all-German squad. And as was pointed out in the interviews, this series really is heading for its final two races, both in the sprint and the endurance. I believe one race of each category to come up. Some nice shiny silver trophies in, and the silver winners. Meadows there receiving his award. Very good job to finish in 11th place. And now more trophies. The president of the Hungarian Autosport Federation hanging out the trophies, and I'm sure they'll be very pleased with how everything's gone this weekend, and proud to have welcomed the Blancpain series here to this track just outside Budapest. So more trophies. So there's the team trophy. There they are. And the winners get their trophies. And I'm not sure how that team works, whether they have to hand it to the team and it goes in their trophy cabinet, or they might get to keep that. So what a race we had. Andrew Marriott here, happy to call the race, and substituting for David Addison here this weekend, and really enjoyed watching the racing here. But great weekend here in Hungary. Yes, for me, Andrew Marriott, it's goodbye until the next time. First overall, 30,000 euros, it says on that oversized check. The bubbly, they already took the corks off, and they're spraying away there. So we've got 8 of them up there to all drench each other and add to the laundry bill. Certainly they must have a pretty big laundry bill at the WRT team, as well as the drivers. They've got over 50 personnel here. But they're the winners, having a great race. And well, this race was really decided all at the very first corner. That was absolutely crucial, and quite a lot of elbowing going on, and I think it really did help the car that ultimately took the victory. Another sip of the bubbly. And well, it looks as that bottle's completely empty now. And the series, of course, sponsored by the Blancpain Watch Series, got underway just like this. And a very difficult first corner it is here at Hungary. We got a good view from the Nissan car. Look, the was red Mercedes, Vautier into the lead, but went a bit wide as he dived into the first corner, and everybody was all over the place. And at that point, it was Maxi Bucht who got into a lead, which really was the foundation for the success through this race. Lamborghini's down there struggling to get into the top 10. When, just as we did on Saturday, had a full course yellow, while the Martin Plowman McLaren was craned away, and then some great inter-team rivalry between the WRT boys here, and then pit stops always vital. We know WRT are quick, but this time Audi weren't able to vault round the Mercedes. And then Dominic Baumann took the car out with Van Thor behind him, and further down the field there was also WRT's battling. Meanwhile, the McLaren, which led the championship coming in, could not manage to get anywhere near even into the top 20. We had, from a British point of view, Bentleys, and we had bits of bodywork flying. That incident which eliminated one of the Lamborghinis, and then Ferrari spun off. That was the battle actually for the Amateur Cup, and a bit of late body damage, and it lost its undershield, and that damaged the puncture of that car. But well, the 88 car pushed hard in 5th place. But a great race here from Hungaroring. From me, Andrew Marriott, it's goodbye until the next time.